Happy Friday Eve, BZB TV friends and family. Joined here today by Joel Cruz from the studio in Sacramento. How are you doing, brother?
Hey, I am good. Just to let you know, this is not any chest hair or thing growing
It's
out
not
my
a
neck.
growth, a tumorous growth under your neck.
We're using a different mic today, so hopefully I sound okay to you guys. And we are good here. The heat wave is coming back. I know I shouldn't be complaining because Mr. Texas over there probably ain't no thing for that guy. Hundreds back to back all the time.
We actually had a little bit of a nice break from the hundreds yesterday. I think it was like about 94. We had some thunder, a little bit of lightning, lots of rain. But I heard you guys are dealing with quite a bit of rain in California with Tropical Storm Hillary. So how's that been going for you guys?
Yeah, Bay Area, it's been like we'll get sprinkles for like 5 minutes or a few minutes, but I guess it mainly did hit SoCal, Southern California. And I have a cousin and an aunt, aunt and uncle that live there, and just reached out to them, but they said they're actually on a cruise right now somewhere, so they are avoiding all of that. But yeah, it's just crazy to see the flooding, and then there was an earthquake, I think, that hit a 5-pointer.
A 5.5, yeah. It was like a double whammy. You had the earthquake and all the rain. So it's crazy.
It is.
But,
so hopefully you guys over there in Southern California, wherever it's also getting affected, just be safe out there and hang in there.
Well, that's just a little taste of like Midwest weather, I guess. But the other thing that's happening right now is I think I know school is starting back up, so I think your kids are dealing with that. But also university is coming back too. So I know the university here in town is starting up, and so I don't know if you have any experience with that, but I think our guest might. So I think that's a great time to bring him in, Mr. Justin Dawson. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
No, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Joel. I know. Matt, you didn't cue up the sound effects for that.
Oh, my bad.
We forgot the sound effect. Yeah, the crowd and
I forgot about it.
But it's interesting you talking about storms. We had a storm here last week that knocked out our power for a good 24 hours, which is always great fun. Because I'm living in North County Dublin, and when it knocks out our power, all our cell phone masts just go to complete and utter halt, and which is always great fun when you have young kids that don't get the concept of, no, the TV doesn't come on when power's off. No, we can't watch your favorite cartoons. And yes, it is out for 24 hours and everything's defrosting in your refrigerator and trying to entertain them. But not only that, it's going out to try and get some food and then trying to ring my wife. It's like, why are you trying to ring me? We're in this weird pocket that if I go 15 minutes in any direction, north, south, east, or west, they had power. But we're in a small little village where, the power gets knocked out and they somehow can't transfer the power back into our little village for 24 hours later. Yeah. So, but I guess at least we don't get earthquakes over in Ireland. That's what I look at.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that's kind of like one of the benefits of being here in Texas. It's always hot, but at least there's a bunch of sun, which means we've got some solar panels. So even if the power goes out, we've still got power. Mm-hmm. So that's not too bad. But Justin, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do for the audience.
Okay. So I'm Justin Dawson. Most people might know me from different parts of ISE doing different podcasts, the All Things Techie podcast. That's only about 3 years old. But before that, I've been in the audiovisual industry, I say, for about nearly 15 or 16 years now. First worked in the private sector with PricewaterhouseCoopers for a long time doing audiovisual and live events. So I laughed how you were talking about your little your Rode Wireless Go there, and where to clip it on. I've had all situations where we've done live events in PwC with myself and my colleague where we did fashion shows, and when you have women wearing like bikini tops and stuff like that in a fashion show. It's quite interesting to go, I just want you to click this on somewhere. Here you go. I'll let you find a spot to put it on.
Yeah.
And that's where we learned that like wearing belt pouches for live events was very important.
Yeah. I know a little bit about that. I used to work at a TV station, so sometimes getting the on-air talent with the dresses that they wear, getting them mic'd up, you're like, I'm gonna let you handle that. I'm just gonna give you the mic. You got this. All right, cool.
I did get a good tip with is it lava mics with the cord?
The lavaliers, yeah.
Oh, lavaliers. So before at the shows, we used to when we go to the guests, we'd have to put it under the shirt and come up, and then we'll have them do it. But I came across he used to be a pastor, so he went up on stage to do a lot of speaking events. So he had a lot better way where it's not invasive. So he took his sports coat off, and he basically, not under the shirt, but it ran around the back, and it just kind of hung down. So bring it around your back, and it hung down, and then he was able to clip it on his collar. So it's not going inside the shirt. It's just, running up the back of his shirt. And then he put his sports coat back on, and boom. So, I don't know. Ever since I saw that tip, I whenever we used to use the lavalier mics. So I would show that to everyone, and, they're like, oh, that's so much quicker and a lot easier.
Yeah. Outer garments make it a little bit easier, but sometimes there's not a real elegant solution. And sometimes you want me to unzip the back of your dress to clip this to the back of your. Okay, sure.
Yeah, sure, maybe the hair.
But it can be an interesting experience getting people mic'd up sometimes.
Yeah, and that's why I don't miss that. I still do live events from time to time with my university, but I don't miss doing the live events. When you have that type of pressure of going, I just want to just sit at my mixing desk, and get the show on the road. I don't want to have these type of last minute, where am I going to clip a microphone to your dress? But so, worked in the private sector for a good nearly 8 or 9 years, and then moved into a university setting. First with University College Dublin, where I was there for about 6 years, and in both situations with the School of Nursing, where I am now in the School of Nursing in Dublin City University. And people go, how's that treating you, like on a medical setting? And I think the weirdest thing is going from doing live events and doing a lot of installs for private sector to, okay, I have a room full of mannequins here that, if anyone's been following my social media posts, because I've been doing a bit with BZB and you guys, I've been joking about no mannequins were harmed in the making of these photos and videos. But, I remember my first week in university and walking into our clinical skills labs and just going, yeah, this is a bit freaky, these dolls, and like it might be 8 o'clock in the morning. You're opening the room and you're sorting out all the AV equipment in the room and going, and then you hear a voice or someone just interrupt you from behind, and you jump out of your skin, going, it's like, who said that? The mannequin or the human? But,
I know a little bit about that. There was a portion of my college experience where I thought I wanted to be a nurse. There were some other plans that happened. I wasn't a great student my first semester, so it didn't work out. But the anatomy is a very interesting class, and sometimes the stuff that they bring out, you're like, oh, okay.
In fact, our university and Dublin City University, our clinical skills labs, they're glass windows that overlook the street, and it's a residential area. So when we before I joined the university, but I heard from my colleague, when they first moved all the mannequins into the wards for simulation, they used to get phone calls from the residents across the street going, you're not treating those patients correctly. They've been in their beds for the past week, and it's like, they're mannequins. They don't move. They're not real.
I promise, no one is being harmed. So speaking of university, is the semester starting for you guys right now, or?
We're lucky. It starts usually mid-September, but
Okay.
it's it's the ramp up to getting projects finished. Like sometimes we'll get management telling us at the last minute. It's like, oh, there's a bit of money to spend. Oh, really? And then we get the equipment in, but it's getting the rooms ready just in time for the undergraduates to come in and start off. And you love the quiet time when you can actually get work done. And that in about a week's time, all the lecturers, all the staff will be back on campus, and they'll be asking 100 questions, between my computer's not working to can you help me design something for an online program, while you're also trying to sort out the audiovisual in our labs. But we've been busy. We've had a really big project going on where we've decided, well, we call it a big project, myself and my colleague, because we took away a lot of old gear from our clinical skills labs, and we wanted to go down the route of using Wolf Vision with our system, where we've been integrating it with panto zoom cameras. And the ability to, like, we needed something that was going to be user-friendly, simple user interface, where the staff member could drag and drop on the touch screen and be able to share content. And that's what we've been doing. We're the first university in Ireland to actually bring this out into Ireland, and then getting the right PTZ cameras, and then getting in touch with you guys, which has been fantastic. Like, we've been testing out your one of your panto zoom cameras. Seamlessly integrates with our new system, and yeah, really excited about it.
Well, that's something that we are glad to hear. I know that we've been doing a little bit of back and forth with you on, I think it's the Adamo, right?
Yeah, and I tell you what, that camera has some incredible zoom on it. Very sturdy camera. At first, like, when we put it into our system, we're like, ooh, that doesn't look right. Like when we were using the joypad, it's like, okay, it's getting a bit pixelated. Why is it getting pixelated? And we went from the H.264 to H.265 codec, and seamlessly, that camera is fast in zooming in. One thing I loved, and I know I'm going to be doing a product review for you guys, but one thing I loved is, like, when I read that, hold on a minute, this has 254 presets. That is ridiculous. Yeah. And then, having your Stream Deck, where I could go to page 5 now, and I could go mannequin number 3 in the bed. I'm going to zoom into the eyes. Now I'm going to zoom into the ears. Now I'm going to zoom into the nose. And with a 30x optical zoom, like, that is something that you can just stick one of those cameras in, and you can control the 6 beds, which is perfect for medical simulation.
That's good. That's good news to hear for us. I mean, we have definitely been pushing the Adamo quite a bit. Joel can attest to this, but I think it's been for good reason, and we're glad that you're having some good results with it.
Yeah, I can't wait for him to actually get his hands on, because he has the Adamo right now, but we do have, based off the Adamo kind of shell, but it's a medical grade camera. I don't know if our colleagues have mentioned that to you, but maybe, in the future that could be another.
I've seen that, and we did discuss that with Chris, and again, I love the idea that, like, again, at the moment we're trying out the system with the wireless go camera or wireless go microphones. We're trying it with we're trying it with some mic flex ones into our system, but it's a bit of programming going on there, where we're thinking, well, hold on a minute, if we have a camera and microphone all in one, that literally I say to anyone that hasn't seen these cameras, go look at BZB's website, because the fact of being able to put a little triangular microphone underneath the mount of, it doesn't have to sit with the camera, you could have that on the other side of the room. Some people don't like wearing microphones, and we were already discussed about wearing lapel mics that will not stay on a t-shirt. So it's nice being able to integrate it all in one. Yeah, I'd look forward to trying that out.
So, Justin, you're the technical officer, right, for the university that you're at. What does a day in the life for you look at while you're there?
It's like you love to be able to wear the t-shirt going, I'm AV, no, I will not fix your computer. But a lot of requests come in. Now we do have an IT department that we tap into from day to day, but sometimes they're so busy that it will overlap, and faculty will come to us directly, myself and my colleague, and go, okay, why is this not working? Now, the great thing is sometimes we don't have the keys to the door from IT services, so we have to push it right back and go, not my problem, go sort it out with IT services. We get a lot of that. We look after, myself and my colleague Patrick, we look after the clinical education centre in our school. And what has been great with this project, it was that we do have an integrator, a third-party integrator that has the tender for the university, but we wanted to do something different. And it was a bit of being able to turn around and go, we're not a normal classroom environment. We want to be able to do simulation. We have several different scenarios that would not fit into the box of just a classroom environment where you might have a projection screen, a laptop, or bring your own device that you're just throwing up onto screen and maybe capturing a recording with the students. We have scenarios where we would have doing basic life-saving skills in a room to basic life-saving skills to simulation of the anatomy or whatever, and we do a lot of surgical skills as well. So, we during COVID was a big push where they realized, hold on a minute, we still have to train our nurses, but we can't be in the room. So how do we go about doing that? Which gave us a bit of clout to go, right, now, okay, everyone's back on campus, but I've spoken about this on other podcasts before. We want to have the ability that it's a hybrid fashion, that should we ever hit a pandemic again, should we want to be bringing guest lecturers, we can bring them into the room, or the fact that one of our nursing staff can be in our hub doing the example and then be able to look at the other cameras in other rooms. Now, usually that involves, whether you're Crestron, whether you're Extron, whatever, it involves a lot of programming and a lot of menus on a touch panel to go, I want to go into room 2 and I want to take that camera and I want to pan, tilt, zoom, stream it. Compared to the ability when we went with Wolf Vision, that we could just bring in all the streams as RTSP streams, have them on our display. We can take snapshots of it so we can see what's going on in each one of our 6 rooms. So, and then literally by finger dragging and dropping it onto the top panel, it's going out to all our monitors and our matrix, and then bringing in the likes of so that this project, A Day in the Life, this project has been the bare bones of our summer. Myself and my colleague Patrick sorting out some little snags, because we took away a lot of restaurant gear and gone down this route where we can program it ourselves and do the matrix ourselves with the help of the guys over in England, and be able, the fact that if the scenario changes, that we can get into the back end of our programming and sort it out. That's our summer. But during the semester periods, I could be asked from, helping out in the clinical education center, doing those type of recordings, doing those type of simulations, to a couple of live events. We still do a lot of Zoom webinars for different events, whether it be celebration days of the nurse or anything like that. And then just at the beginning of this summer, we had an international nursing conference, and I think there was over 200 delegates and 30 different countries. And myself, Patrick, and a couple of his younger children, even his sons, helped us out that week. So we actually trained the sun's up going, now these are the buttons you don't press on a mixing desk, and these are the buttons that you do press. I think questions, and remember, when the event, when the day's workshops finished, remember to finish and close off the live stream. There was one occasion when they didn't, but thankfully everyone they had the visuals switched off and only one microphone open, which you could hear in the distance. But everyone makes that rookie mistake at least once, and they didn't do it the second time.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it's quite a busy job.
It can be. Like now, I say during the summer is a great time. Yeah, at least we get a bit of a lull to be able to sort out projects, test and implement them in the summer. But we can already feel the ramp up to September and coming. Of course, some of the other exciting projects that myself and my colleague get to do is like we usually get, one of our professors does a European funding and what's known as Erasmus Plus over here. So we're linked up with Germany, Poland, and Georgia. Now I won't be going over. I was scheduled to go over to Georgia now in September, but just with family things going on, I'm sending over my colleague there. But we're doing a thing on artificial hand washing, which sort of grew out of COVID, where we are putting a camera attached to a small little Raspberry Pi over a sink. Our computer department has programmed the correct steps of washing your hands to the World Health Organization plans. What are you buying cycles? Why are you buying cycles over there? Don't get that one. We'll come back to that.
I'm not sure what he's trying to ask, but Range Rover, if you could clarify, we will try and get that question answered.
But while just washing the hands, the AI will tell the student nurse with a green or red light on the Raspberry Pi whether they have washed their hands correctly or not. So that's an ongoing project. So it's been quite fun getting the Raspberry Pis to work accordingly while talking on a Zoom call to another country, whether it be Germany or Georgia or Poland, and getting it working. But it's been fun. It's been a good project to work on.
Wait, so is it by a red light or green light? Is it just not? Is it how you're washing your hand, or just the time?
So it's literally a bit of both. Like we programmed the AI in the Raspberry Pi to say, okay, you have what? So we're timing it roughly with the 12 steps to be about 2.5 minutes, and give or take of doing all the steps. And then if you go out of sync of that, it will know that it's wrong. Yeah, that bit we're leaving up to our computer programmers. Myself and Patrick, it's just getting the units to actually work on the walls, because and so the thing that we never thought about was that in different universities and different medical areas, they have different size sinks and different shape sinks. So trying to get the camera to be positioned in the right position to see the hands, has been an interesting one to play with. But it got us to see other universities. Like we are teamed up with a university in Poland, who, their medical center is part of their hospital, which I think had something like 16 or 17 floors. It was massive compared to the hospitals we have over here in Ireland.
Oh, wow.
Well, real quick, Sound Ace has a question. Which model video wall controller do you have to keep expanding? Is that a question for us at BZBGEAR, or is that a question for Justin? Let me know, and we will get an answer to you. But Range Rover clarified, and he said education buying cycle. So I'm not sure if he's trying to ask about
budget.
Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe it's about budget. If you want to come back and clarify that, like our budget usually starts. If I'm correct, it's a yearly annual budget that we get, and it starts from September to September. But when that happens, it's quite difficult. When supply chain issues. Now, I know a lot of your competitors. Let's mention about your competitors have supply chain issues. You don't have supply chain issues, but it's the point of trying to go to management and pitch a project to them, and then go, if we go down this route, we could be waiting 11 months for it to come in,
Mm-hmm.
compared to trying to find things that work now. Luckily enough, with the current project that we're on, like we had one final piece of the jigsaw with our wolf visuals that we were able to get in within the month and be able to integrate it and set it up. Like we're looking at different alternatives, like to go that you don't have to. Budget is tight in Ireland, very tight across all our higher ed institutions, where it's just our inflation in Ireland is ridiculous. I'm sure it's very similar over in the States as well. That it's and then trying to get in, even if we do it in phases, but then going, okay, what's the most important part of this phase, and what are we trying to achieve in phase one or phase, and then sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, that some money might be left over from a certain project that you just go, okay, we can take that money and we can use it here, but can we get it in on time before semester starts? So it is a bit of a juggling act over here in Ireland.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely feeling a little bit of inflation here in the States. I mean, I'm complaining about gas, but it's definitely not nearly as bad as it is in California for Joel.
And now it's starting to go back up. Yep, it is.
It's back up to like $3.50 a gallon here, and I'm like, dude, it was like under $3. What happened? But you guys are paying like, what?
Ours is
$5 to $6.
I got gas the other day, $5.60. It's going back towards $6. It looks like. Geez. And you guys are $3. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not too bad over here. Well, you did mention something, Justin. You mentioned that your colleague had brought his kids in, and you were training them up a little bit on AV. Is that kind of how you got your start in the AV world?
No, gosh, like I studied radio way back in my days. Like my dad was an electrician for over 50 years, so I think that's where the tech type of interest always was in me. When I was 15 years of age, like burning the fingers off myself, building a transmitter and for a pirate radio station. Every kid has a rebellious streak in them. Well, that was my rebellious teenage streak, to be shut down a couple of months later by our authorities. And then, so had a vast interest in radio and broadcasting for years, like just an obsession. So I did that in college, but then recession hit when I came out of college. Did a couple of part-time jobs from place to place. Eventually ended up working in IT, doing like call desk scenarios with PricewaterhouseCoopers. And then one of my colleagues who I had gone to college with said, "Oh, there's a position opening up in my department you should apply for." So ended up going from that to audiovisual. And just figuring out in my late 20s that, hold on, I'm more of a tech than I am, doing and radio in Ireland. You don't make a profit in radio in Ireland unless you get in with the big guns. It's a very closed industry. To just going like, well, I can combine two things. Like about 3 years ago, the light bulb went on. It's like, why don't I start doing an Irish tech podcast and see where it goes? Like, just for fun. Like it started off as just a fun project, and then just sort of grew legs with different people that I networked with online, different small ISE events that I went to last year, just getting an invite by one of the PR companies going, well, would you like us to send you over to Barcelona for the whole week? I was like, would I? Yeah. And my numbers like went like fivefold over. Like it went from a couple of thousand to like 5,000 YouTube subscribers just from coming back from ISE. Like I try and do things. I say on an Irish perspective as a joke, but more of, if you give me a product to test, I'm not going to be one of those type of people on YouTube going, here's a product, here's BZB's latest camera, and look at the link below. I want to test it. I want to put it through different scenarios. So sometimes someone sends me a product to test. I might have that for months on end because without creating the video, because I found a new scenario to try and test but it's not just working the way I
Mhm.
want it to do. So I actually have two products, not BZB by the way, guys, but two products like on a shelf here that I'm just waiting for the manufacturer to come back, because I've experienced a problem that they've tested and went, oh yeah, I've experienced that problem too. Let's go back and try and fix that. Or taking a product out of the box and going, let's try and test it a different way. Or wouldn't it be great if this worked this way? And and I think also that helps when you're working in a higher ed environment, or or a mixture of higher ed and an end user environment, going, these are the questions that the end user is going to ask me. Can it do this? And if it can't do it, why can't it do it? And will there be any improvements? So like when I go to trade shows, like that's where you can get trapped up going around booths at a trade show, even without the reporter hat on. You stopped in your tracks. You're walking around. I see, especially when it used to be in Amsterdam. You're walking from you're walking from a trade show floor to another trade show floor up a level, and then something you're trying to get to a meeting, and then you see something in a corner and go, what's that? And then you go, that could solve all of my little problems for a project that I was trying to solve 6 months ago. And then you get talking, and then all of a sudden you realize you've lost half the day. I'm sure. Like, well, Joe, when you were over at ISE, like, do you get off the boot at all to go and tour around?
It was difficult because we didn't have as a big a team that at the overseas show than we typically do here in the States.
Mm-hmm.
We can have more team members here, but when we went overseas, we had a smaller team. So I mean, I was able to move around in the sense that I was part of the video team also at the time, because we only had two people in the marketing. So I was able to walk around and kind of check out the show, and then walk over to our partners' booths and do videos with them over there. But I mean, other than that, just like the last show, Infocom in Florida, I was basically, Matt and our other video guy, they were the ones who allocated their time to walk around. So I was basically stuck just at the booth. I mean, I do enjoy, getting around just to see the show, getting some blood flow through my legs. Because I mean, those are tough. Trade shows, a lot of people think it's easy.
No,
you just have to stand there.
Everyone keeps on thinking that, like, oh, wow, you're going, like my wife, trying to explain to my wife that I'm not actually on holiday to Barcelona for a week. No, really, like, even though I take all the snapshots and the selfies of going, here I am having a really nice meal with a certain company. She's like, she realizes, I think she does realize that I'm constantly working at these events, but like that, like,
Yeah.
you get what's known as the trade show sickness afterwards with the flu, and just talking. Like, I don't know how you guys like stand on a booth and talk all day long. Like, I thought I was bad doing reports, but like I noticed on the Wednesday,
we finally kind of convinced our boss to get some chairs, and that helped. Chairs and some tables helped a lot.
Yeah. But I like fair play to the guys. I'm going to do a shout out to Joe Way, who's really helped the HETMA vertical over in the States, where he had the great idea, not just like improving like how companies talk to higher ed, but stop walking around the trade show floors, just, and get them to come to our booth and talk about what tech they have to us. We don't have to move from our booth, and we can have a beer and sit here. And then it's like, Joe, this is genius. Why has no one ever thought about this before? Like, be the influence that they come to us rather than us like walking a couple of miles around trade show floors. I know it's like I enjoy it, but I noticed that next ISE, I have to pace myself better. Like, I was trying to record at different booths every half hour. That is not actually possible. I think I did something like 6,000 steps on my Fitbit on the Wednesday. From
wow. Yeah, I was just going to ask, did you make sure, did you have good walking or running shoes?
always wear good running shoes. Yeah, but like
Okay.
it's like that. Like I got to like even with people going, come to our happy hour on Wednesday. It's like if I have one beer, I'm gonna actually fall asleep standing up. You know, I'm that tired. You know, from walking around all the trade show, and like then your voice just starts croaking by the midweek.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was getting that when we were at
I know.
Infocom. Like
Yeah.
my voice was starting to go by like the second day, and I'm like, geez, I haven't even done that many videos. What's going on?
It's
Yeah.
always, yeah, it always seems like that. Like by the third day, the final day, you get a little. I remember our first show was at NAB last year, and yeah, it's just that last day I had to do we did a live stream for our raffle giveaway, and yeah, my voice was gone.
Oh, I've seen your little YouTube videos with Chris where it's like trying to tune up your voices, you know.
Oh.
Oh man. So that actually kind of reminded me of something you said. You were talking about, you know, how you started the channel, you know, started doing the whole influencer thing. And, you know, I know a lot of people are like, man, what does that word even mean?
Well,
But
I still don't know what that word means. Like I play games with my colleagues in work and just go, I'm a tech influencer, you know. But you know, I don't, you know. For me, it's just like I'm a guy who likes tech. I'm addicted to tech, and I want to talk about it on a podcast. And for some reason, a lot of people follow me on the socials while I talk about tech. But I also try and do in my podcast, I reach out. Like if people are having problems or experiencing things, or if they comment on, and I get a lot of comments in afterwards for each show where people go, thank you for trying out this product in a different way than just trying to sell me the product, you know. Like I will give honest opinions, you know, and I will give honest opinions on the latest tech trends that are going on around the world, you know. Unfortunately, the past couple of episodes has been talking about social media and Elon Musk for a lot. So I'm going to try and promise my listeners and my viewers that I'm going to try and get off that topic of talking about social media all the time. But I think it was fun when, like, you know, Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk were challenging each other to a cage fight. That I think every person,
everyone wants to see it.
Everyone wants to see it, but everyone knows that it's not going to happen. It's like going back to the old MTV of celebrity death match with the plasticine models. Now, Matt, I'm showing my age now. I'm 40. You know, you probably don't remember. Once upon a time, MTV used to play music, and
they used to play, music videos.
And then afterwards at night, at about 10 p.m. our time at night, they used to have celebrity death match with these little plasticine characters.
Oh, the claymation.
Yeah,
I do remember that. Yeah.
And I was thinking that's what, every time I heard about like this cage fight, it's like, and then I was like, who was going to be brave enough to get Conor McGregor to train them up for a cage fight against one another, or can Conor McGregor just jump in the middle at the end and just go, you're both wrong. I'm watching the language on this live program. You're both wrong, and just like beat the heads off both of them.
Yeah. Like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
I had no idea that Mark Zuckerberg, right, the Facebook guy, I guess he trains already with UFC stuff. So when I first heard the fight was good, they were trying to do the fight, and I was kind of like, okay, maybe Elon Musk. I was kind of on Elon's side, but I think Zuckerberg just he put out a post recently with I forgot his name, the UFC the bad dude, man. The bad MF. But he was training with like actual UFC guys, and I guess he's like he looks like very fit. I'm like, oh man, Elon, he wouldn't have. I can see why he's backing out now.
I don't think he would stand a chance, you know.
You know, you think that, but all it takes is one hit. That's all it takes.
Well, that's true.
I've seen crazier things happen. I mean,
what
was the guy's name? Butterbean. Like, you look at him and you're like, no way he'd do good in boxing. And all of a sudden, he's just running through people. So it can always be it's anyone's game at that point, right? So just going back to the influencer thing, though, when did like the channel kind of start becoming more than just a hobby? Like, when did it start becoming something that was like, this is actually real?
Yeah, because I see that you're on like episode 81, 80-ish right now.
81, yeah, I think 81 or 82 next. You know,
Nice.
it really was after the trade shows. Like AES was in Dublin just before a few ISEs, and then being able to, like, in my previously, before the PR company started approaching me and saying, we can get you a media pass for this. It was me trying to, like, get some time off work, getting work to give me a bit of a budget to go over. And, you know, it is expensive. Like, when these trade shows are going on, the hotel prices go whoop. You know, and to getting a media pass where it's like, you can go in whatever time you want in the morning and you can leave whatever time. And, you know, that, and when I was doing it over in Ireland here with the All Things Techie podcast, Joe, who I've known for quite some time just because he works in higher ed as well, said, hey, you know, do you want to do a show together? So we did Across the Ponds. So then he had his team come over to ISE last year. I was helping out with his podcast. He was introducing me to a lot of people and high up people that it just exploded. I think really the change to going, oh wait, this is going to be quite successful and professional now, when the numbers started shooting up, was in the past 12 to 18 months. I say it has been, and it's opened doors. Like, it's gone from just doing this podcast, doing my product reviews, my YouTube channel just exploded, and then also doing the higher ed AV and HETMA, like HETMA as well. Like, I'm sure Joe would even comment on, like, and when I say it's a good time we're live, so good congratulations to Joe for changing over job. He's going to be announcing a lot more of that on his channels. But it just, the higher ed vertical now is being listened to, and what I mean by that is that I was at trade shows before, and I noticed that I was being treated differently from the times I worked in the private sector with PwC, and then when I was working in higher ed, where they're like, well, this approach, and I'm going back a couple of years ago, I'm going back like maybe 2018, 2019, going over to ISE, and they would, some of the trade show booths would treat you differently, of thinking that, oh, they're higher ed, they don't have the budget. Now, that's no word of a lie. We don't have the same type of budget that a private company like PwC would have to spend on a campus or on their buildings. But I think now it's got to the stage of going, there's a lot of technicians in higher ed, and, you know, who was still going during COVID was higher ed as well. So all of a sudden, with HETMA going on, we would have our versions of LTSMG over here and SCOMS, that we're getting listened to now, of going, we might not want the top of the range products, but what are the alternatives out there? Who does not have supply chain issues? Who can give me the products? Who can give me the after sales service? Now, that is the key thing. You know, like, you do have the top guns out there that will sell your product and then walk away. Or if you want to get support, you need to be a very, very big institution when you're in public or private sector, compared to the ones that I say I would favor, because they give the after sales service is the key point.
Okay, that was a much
longer.
Yeah. No, that's good actually, though. There's a lot to unpack there, but I think definitely there's a lot of shying away from, at least from what I've noticed, there can definitely be some shying away from institutions that maybe are a little bit more constrained on budget, but that doesn't mean that there's not sales to be made or things that can absolutely fill the needs that they have. It's just, what does it at that price point, and whether or not, you know, you're willing to go talk to them, right? Like, that's the big thing, is talking to them. Because I know houses of worship are kind of the same way. Like you have big houses of worship, right? Like you have like, for example, the Hillsong or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're massive. They have tons of budget. They can afford to have $250,000 lenses for their cameras. Not every church is like that, but stuff like PTZ cameras, like our cameras or whatnot, can easily fill in that gap. So even if they do have a budget, maybe just making a little bit of a connection is going to be something that when the next year rolls around and they're like, hey, we talked to these people, they were great. They answered all our questions. They showed off their equipment. We got to play with it a little bit. We should really look at giving them our business, basically. So I think it's something that a lot of vendors can easily overlook.
Yeah, and that's true. Going on that, where vendors can overlook is sometimes in the past, again, going back to the earlier ISEs that I was at, they ask you the question of who you are and where you're from and what's your background. But then it's like, did that just all go over your head? Why are you trying to sell me something that doesn't fit inside the box of the realm of what I'm trying to do in my scenario? You know, I might be nodding to you while I'm standing at the trade show booth, but you're not listening to what my scenarios are for my higher education institution or the scenario that I've just after pitching to you. You're trying to sell me the most expensive camera, for example, on your trade show floor. Yes, it's a beautiful camera, but I'm never going to need it in the scenario that I have.
Right.
And there was a lot of that in the past. I think it's got better now in the more recent ISEs.
One can only hope. Although again, I have no frame of reference because I haven't been to ISE. Come on.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. I'm sure about like the same going on in whether it be Infocom or whatever over in the States.
I'm just giving Joel a bad time because he's been so.
Putting away. I know we gotta get you over. You get your passport ready.
I already have it, brother. I have it. I'm ready to go. One thing I think, another thing that I kind of wanted to say, though, mentioning the content that you're putting out, Justin, you made a little bit of a comment about saying, you're surprised that people want to see the content that you're putting out. But I think there's a lot of value to be had in being the techie guy, the guy that wants to get into the details, the guy that wants to see how it all works in different scenarios. I mean, I don't know if you're big into like PC components or stuff, but like stuff like Gamers Nexus. I mean, like if you ask most people whether they want to see all these data charts on PC components, they'd probably be like, no. But then you look at their channel and they have a huge channel, lots of people always tuning in, and it because they go to the lengths to get accurate data. They go to the lengths to do different tests and like measure it out in all of these different scenarios. So absolutely, I think providing valuable information for people is way better than just saying, oh, hey, I got this product and, we looked at it. It looks good. This is the product link. Go buy it.
Yeah. And not only that, it's giving the honest answer and also saying like, yeah, I might have my CTS from a VIXA. I might be in the industry for a long time. I will never say that I know the answer to everything, So if I find a product or I'm testing out something or have issues where I have a scenario that's not working, I will be asking my audience, have they experienced this? Like, I enjoy the networking at ISE, whether it be higher education networking or whether it be talking to people at trade show booths that whether they're in sales or they can direct me to their support team where I go, I've had this scenario, or if someone's told me this about this scenario, have you ever encountered it? ISE is brilliant. Love ISE, love seeing all the stalls. And then we have over in Ireland and England and a couple of other European countries come over to what we call LTSMG, Learning, Teaching, Space Management Group, which is all just higher ed AV professionals that will talk about scenarios that they have encountered. And like it's a 3-day event, but it every conversation you nearly have will have someone having a woe of how something didn't work for them. This is what they did to solve the problem. And that's the type of environment that I try and create, not just for higher ed with All Things Techie podcast, but where there can be a discussion of the technology, both audiovisual and IT, or something that's happened in the industry, or something that will just pique my interest, that I will open up a newspaper and just go, wow, they're creating AI speed cameras now that can detect whether you're using your cell phone while driving along in a car. How accurate can this be? And then, it's coming up in the next podcast, by the way, where I just
I'm gonna need to tune into that one.
well, do you know what's interesting? It's like we have our motor. I don't know, like when in Texas or California, we have toll bridges on some of our motorways, and they've now introduced it that it's just a camera that like it tags you as you drive along, and you just go, well, how that's a couple of years previous, but like I only recently went onto my account where I just went, oh wow, I can go into my portal and I can see when my car passed by, and sometimes the camera is that accurate that it actually catches me and sees what clothes I've been wearing, or captures my face. And then you go,
we have tons of those in Texas.
Yeah,
lots and lots of toll roads here.
So if they can do that, and they can do that at quite some speed, surely they can catch whether you're using a cell phone while driving along. But that's what. And then we have speed cams as well that can measure from just distance of how far you traveled. So we have some of our tunnels here in Dublin that they won't say that you've been speeding. They will measure the average time of how long it's supposed to take to get through this tunnel, and if you have done it over speed, well, then you shorter than the time, well, then obviously you've been speeding. No one actually knows the exact amount of time that is, but yeah, thankfully I've never, touch wood, I've never been caught. I've been in a hurry a couple of times. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I got to be careful with my car. It's easy to put a little bit more gas than I really need to or should be putting on it. So, just the woes of having a more sports oriented car. So, Joel, before I forget, I think you had a question for Justin. It's not AV related at all.
Okay,
but go ahead and ask.
Oh, no, just I know you shared a few fun facts prior to the show. So I see here that you are a big Liverpool soccer fan. So I mean, over here we're into at least Matt a little, but more so me. I'm more of a football, American football instead of football, soccer football. So I know our season, NFL football season, starting in about just 2 weeks now. So that's ramping up and it's getting big. But I'm not too big of a soccer fan here, but our bosses, all of our management, they're huge soccer fans. I know he told me earlier that he is a fan. His our CEO, his favorite team is, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah. Where our famous manager used to play once.
He brought that up because he said, actually his favorite team is Liverpool, but his coach is actually for a long time he was a coach of Borussia.
And you know what? Like both teams have the same type of passion. Well, supporters rather have the same type of passion for their teams. So that's why I think Klopp fitted in quite well with Liverpool, and he's done wonders. He has done wonders. I've been a fan since I was a teen. They won their first league trophy in over 30 years during COVID, and I think that night it was like with some of my neighbors who are Liverpool supporters as well. We're like, forget COVID, we're all celebrating. It's been 30 years. I've been waiting 30 years to see this trophy actually come home. So we're all. My wife was not too pleased with me the next morning because I opened a couple of bottles of champagne and drank out in our front garden till about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then she like sort of hastily woke me up to remind me that I had an appointment with my son the next morning and just get in the car, and it was a bit worse for wear at the time.
It sounds about appropriate though.
Were you keeping up with like the World, the World Cup? I think the Women's World Cup.
I did. Just because of the time difference, it was like 8 or 9 o'clock, maybe 10 o'clock in the morning when the matches were happening here in Ireland. But our Irish team did well to qualify, and like long way you continue, and like some people would say, oh, don't support the rivals England, but you know what? Like I'm following an English Premier League team, so if England does well in whether male football or whether it be female, if England does well in the World Cup, I don't mind, but yeah, sometimes like England get to the final and we go, oh, please don't win the final, else we'll never hear the end. Like those Irish people will never hear the end of England winning another World Cup. So as soon as they, or even to the stage where Ireland plays England in a cricket match, it's usually the biggest rivalry is when Ireland plays England in whatever sport it be, whether it be, and especially if it's an English sport like rugby, like cricket, and we actually hockey them or we actually win the match, then it's like our version of winning the World Cup or the Super Bowl. It's like, yes, it doesn't matter if we lost every other game for the past 12 months. If we beat England at anything, it's a victory.
That's always fun.
Actually, there was another question that I wanted to ask you. I'm here from the States, so I'm not too familiar with how this works. So we went to your website and your social channels, and I see here that you are an officially titled Sir Justin R. Dawson. It says here you're a Knight of the Sovereign Military Order of Sealand.
Yes, now this I love this. Like this goes back to my pirate radio fascinations, and rebelling against the system and go free speech and being able to set up a pirate radio station. So I read about this at one stage with that there was an actual territory out off the British coast, right? There were old military forts for the Second World War, and they were literally a platform and two pillars in the sea, one known as Knox Fort. And back in the days of big 1960s radio, like the big pirate radio ships like Radio Caroline, Radio Nova, that was like literally with a massive 60-foot antenna on a vessel, like out at sea, which was using long wave radio frequencies to broadcast halfway across the world. That always piqued my interest. Like my dad, being an electrician, would tell me of these stories of pirate radio, and then we were building pirate radio stations. So like that was our little link together. But so this guy at one stage went out to sea and set up a station on this military fort, and like these should have been blown up right after the Second World War, but like they're literally about 3 miles out to sea from the British coast. So he went out with his teenage son, and the radio station got shut down, but then he went over to another one of the nearby forts, which is like situated about half a mile in perimeter of the coast as military forts go. And they climbed up the side of this pillar, like, which is like, it's in the sea. Like if they fall, they're going into the cold ocean. But he climbed up as a teenager, and they decided, well, we'll set up camp here, right? And then the British Navy said, well, we're going to try and get you off this. And then some other pirate radio stations thinking this could be a great place for a station, let's set up here. That his son fired a bullet off the side of the platform. So this is, and so they both himself and his dad gets taken to court, where the judges ruled out that, well, this is actually outside British waters. It was the one and only fort that was outside of the British waters at the time. So it's international waters. So it's not really something that we can fight in court. So after that was dismissed from court back in the 1960s, they set up what's known as the Principality of Sealand, where, just for fun now, because they still pay to protect the fort and to, like, there's actually someone living on it at all times. Very lonely. I wouldn't do that myself, but for fun, you could actually go onto their website and you can purchase a knighthood. So that's what I did as a Christmas present a couple of years ago, to become Sir Justin Dawson of the Principality of Sealand. And, you know, it's a play on words. Like, I do put it on my signatures, I do put it on my website. But they have some famous musicians that have also been given a knighthood from the Principality of Sealand as well, if you go onto their website. But if I link that back to my AV there, Joel, like, I used to have times whether I was working in the private sector or whether I'm working in public sector. Not as much now with the public sector, but definitely when I was working in hospitality in the private sector, we had baronesses coming over from England. We had we had prime ministers. We had, when I worked, from the minute I started working in tech support, someone told me some valuable lessons, like treat every call the same, treat every event the same. I lost count when I was doing live events, and I hope Matt and Joel, you can relate to this, where they go, this is a real high profile event. It's like, more high profile than the event that I did 2 hours ago that you called high profile, and the event that I did 2 hours previous to that you called high profile. The words high profile meant nothing anymore to me. I treat the same person, like, whether you come to me trying to fix my computer and you're the professor or you're the dean of my university, to someone that will come to me first time, just in the door and needing my support. So when people used to say, oh, you have to address them, like, usually when I had that, even if it was high profile person coming in, whether it be private sector or, like, people saying, oh, this person likes to be called Professor Joe, Professor Blogs. It's like, usually they go, call me Joel. It's like, okay, I can address you from your first name. So even though I say Sir Justin, just call me Justin.
Yeah, I didn't know if we introduced you appropriately. No, but yeah, because I never knew, how do you get that title? I mean, I've heard of, like, Sir Elton John. They call him, Sir Elton John. Like, how? And I always, just from my visions, I thought, thought you had to get knighted, with a sword.
Yeah,
I just seen that in movies, so I don't know.
Do that. Yeah, the royal family in England still do that. But like, so it was just like this guy that decided, I'm going to make up my own principality. I'm going to hand out knighthoods. I'm going to call myself Prince, and I'm going to call my wife Princess, and my sons have always. So all the princes, all the sons still hold the Prince name. But from time to time, they actually invite influencers out. I would love to actually get out to Sealand one of these states. So they actually have one of the RAB boats, and they like literally speedboats, speed out to Sealand. You have to be hoisted up on a crane onto the platform. So you're dangling on this, like, little seat for about 2 or 3 minutes as they hoist you up onto the platform. And then they have their own security, passport security on this platform. So I don't know what really happens if you don't pass passport security. Do they just throw you off the edge, or no deaths known so far? But, like, these guys say, like, oh yeah, we do have our security, and we won't confirm or deny that we have ammunition on this fort should we ever be attacked again. It's a great story. I tell everyone when they ask, where does the Sir come from? Just read up on the Principality of Sealand.
I think that was the best explanation I've ever heard for how somebody got a knighthood. That's awesome.
It's sort of like buying your college degree if you wanted to. Well, you can still buy a knighthood as well.
All right. Well, we are coming up here pretty. We've actually been talking for quite a while, so we're gonna ask like 1 or 2 more questions, and then I think we'll cap it off. But I kind of have one question for you, Justin. What does being an autism advocate mean for you?
Oh, well, look, it's sort of like it's never a role that you just selected to do. Like, it was finding out my son when he was 2.5, 3 years of age, that we knew he was speech delayed at the time. And then COVID hit. And then we were noticing a lot of changes in him behavioral wise, like where I could just literally be walking down the street and he would, what people would call a meltdown, was just literally a sensory overload. Like his routine had gone completely from going to his play school to, okay, you're taking me on a walk again. Why is this? Why am I not seeing my friends or whatever? Now, to us looking into like what autism was and then going, oh wait, hold on, yes, that he has that trait, he has that, to getting him privately assessed. And then, once you get it privately assessed, like there's what parents who have children with autism describe it as that it's a hidden disability. If whether you have Down syndrome, whether you have like accessibility problems, it's recognized. And when I say it's recognized, like it's identifiable in the community, and then you have the hidden disability like autism, which is such a wide spectrum. But not only that, it's how I became more of an advocate is because my son is pre-verbal, and I have to be the voice for him. And sadly, we have a crisis, and that's the nicest way I can put it, with our healthcare system, where there's waiting lists in every region of Ireland for getting children services that they desperately require. So like that, it ended up that I had to take legal action a couple of times against our healthcare system just to get the fundamental rights that my child deserves. Like when he was diagnosed autistic, when we went through our what's known as our progressive disability service, they sold me the package of going, oh, well, this is a new model in healthcare that we're going to have here in Ireland. We're going to look after your son right up until he's 18, which sounded great on paper, to the stage of going, well, hold on, he's now going on 6 and I still haven't had any services from you whatsoever, that you have to fork out for private healthcare, which we have no problem in doing. Like, okay, it's cost a fortune, but we have no problem in doing, but we just have a complete lack of professionals. Our professionals are leaving the country because we can't retain staff, because the salaries and the cost of living and the salaries is better in other places. Like I am working in a school of nursing in Ireland, and I know that our students, before they even graduate, are being offered jobs in New Zealand and Australia. So it's just so fundamentally wrong, that I had to become a campaigner, and I had to fight it. So, I call myself small in the scale of how much I do advocacy. Like there's some people that out there that in our groups and communities that are day in, day out helping parents that are in the same boat. I try to do the exact same, but like it takes its toll between work and looking after my kids, and like also trying to help fight with other parents the battles that they encounter. But it's sort of like my son is 6. I'm at the early stages of the journey, but I know that people longer down the journey have encountered what I've encountered. So I'm sort of filtering back with parents who have just found out their child has been recently diagnosed and what their entitlements are, and how sadly they have to fight for these entitlements. It shouldn't be a fight, but it is a fight. And sadly, like I'm learning, like, and it's interesting, like even being over at ISE, I spoke to a couple of people from different manufacturers and say, oh, my son's autistic and they're living over in the States. I was like, so how difficult was it for you? And it's a comparison game, but I know, especially in Ireland and England, it's very similar. Like the waiting lists are so ridiculously long, that it's pushing people towards private. I know in America, private healthcare is sort of the either you have private healthcare or you die. Over in the States is sort of the catch situation. But it's, you wouldn't mind as much if you knew that you're going to get the services that either you or your child needs if they're there. But some, like even for private here in Ireland, it's been the fact, like even to get speech and language privately, I was on a year waiting list before I got a private speech and language therapist for my son, privately. So yeah, like it takes its toll. Like my wife has even said, Justin, you need to just calm down. You need some days where you just switch off from doing like your work, your podcast, and then you're going spending. So like she's limited me even to 3 days a week where I go like answer those emails 3 days a week, but then you have to sit with me and just so I've like thankfully like uh, I I don't like seeing the injustices of it, so I try and fight it that way. Sometimes I'm a little keyboard warrior at times where I have to calm myself down and go, right, don't get yourself into trouble with what you're saying. But what I put up, like I do tend to use my same social media platforms for autism advocacy, and because sometimes it goes hand in hand, and then with working in a university capacity, like I'm always hoping that future European grant funded programs, I can work with some of the professors in my university and do some autism action type of campaigns. One that I would love to do is sort of like, and I've even at trade shows, and I'm sure when I meet you, Joel, over at ISE, I'll be talking about this as well, is I love to do a project where it's like, what type of AV equipment is out there to make a standard of a university classroom that would suit people with autism. Like, and that's a long-term project that I would love to get involved with.
That's awesome. I was going to ask like how that looks in the professional world too, but it sounds like you're kind of already steering in that direction a little bit too.
Yeah, like people know about T loops in universities and in buildings, but like there's a lot more there. There's a lot more to the standards of lighting in a room. Is there buzz off the lights? Is the sound too loud? And some of the audiovisual companies have really been engaged in doing inclusiveness and realizing that we need to make a product that suits all scenarios, whether you be in a boardroom, whether you be private sector, or whether you be in a university capacity. And like some have really come on, and some things like scientific of like, if we pump in low ambient noise into the room, it will filter out for autistic people the high decibel noises. Like some of it goes completely over my head mathematically, but fascinating areas, and then just watching my son develop, and meeting his friends who are also autistic, and going, and parents, and just sharing our common goals of like what ways we would like things to improve. Yeah.
Joel, I'm going to give you the honor, sir. You get the last question.
Oh, the last question. What would be the last?
It's up to you.
Where should we go with this? No, but I mean, we really commend you for your efforts on, spearheading that, and that's a great cause. I guess lastly, just I got a fun fact here from you as well. So you say here you were a scoutmaster for many, many years, and you climbed Half Dome in Yosemite. I have not even attempted to do any of that. How was your experience? Well, first, do you do like trade shows in America as well, or is it mainly?
No, you know what? Like, that is on my bucket list. Like, now that the podcast has started growing tremendously for me, my aim is to get over to Infocom next year. Like, that is my pure goal, to experience Vegas. And I even said, because Vegas is so close state-wise to California, if I get to Vegas, I'm going back to California. It's been in not in 2024, but 2025 will be, well, actually no, 2024 will be 20 years since I've last been in California. So it's like, yeah,
wow.
I need to get back and see California. I remember like buying my first digital camcorder when I was over in California.
Oh.
But yeah, that was Half Dome. Amazing experience. So I did backpacking across Yosemite. I found someone that was pretty much like the Bear Grylls over there, and he took me into Half Dome and said, or Yosemite, and said, right, let your challenge be to do Half Dome. So Half Dome was over I think it nearly is over a 24-hour period. Like, we started at 6 o'clock. We didn't summit till 6 o'clock that evening, but like the sunsets and the views of Yosemite, yeah, I'd go back to Yosemite, no problem, tomorrow if I had the chance and the opportunity.
Oh man.
The other one that I sent you was about my skydive. I had a funny
I was just gonna ask that too. You said here, I had a chance to do it twice now, and I chickened out both times. The second time, my dad actually, he did it on his birthday, and I kind of regret not doing it now because I'm like, man, if this old man, he can do it, then I think I can hang. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe one of these days.
What happened was, like, I was a scout leader for many years, and one of the sons of another scout leader that I had with me, we were down in County Galway at the time, and it was pouring rain. It was a dirty weekend. It was just rain, wind, rain. And one of the days, the sun sort of broke for a couple of hours, and it's like, oh, you can go bungee jumping. I was like, okay, well, I have to get this waiver signed by all your parents, and like, so this Boy Scout had his dad as a leader, and it's like, well, Dad, will you sign it? And it's like, I'm going to do it, right? So I was like, well, I'll go up to the platform. I don't know if I'm going to bungee jump or not. And then I got up to the top of that platform, going, hell no, this wind is too strong. I'm not bungee jumping. Look at that, you know, like the rain was cutting through our face at the time. So for a couple of weeks after, he was like, haha, I bungee jumped, you didn't. I bungee jumped, you didn't. So I joked at him one stage, it's like, I'm going to do a charity skydive. And lo and behold, I didn't know that if you're 16 and get your parents to sign it, you can go skydiving. So what did he do? He just went, Dad, I've just looked at this page. I could go skydiving. I'd be 16 at the time. So once he got signed up, there was none of me chickening out. You know, I had to show that I'm the adult in this situation. I'm going to do it. I can't let him win all the time. You know, it was sort of like a different version of Father v Son, like in a video game. It's like the dad always has to show his son that he can do one better. So it was bigger is better at this stage. So New Year's Day, a good few years ago now, we did a tandem skydive. So, but we go out to this hangar, and I'd sing all these usual jokes of oh, there's a hole in the parachute. Oh, I haven't had my medication. And I'm like, fingers in the air, la la la, don't care. These are all for show. I'm going to jump out of a plane in a couple of minutes' time. So we get brought out to this really small 2-person plane, like just the pilot in the front. He's sitting on the wing of the plane, and he's smoking a cigarette while the aviation fluid is going into the side. I'm like, this is all for show. It has to be for show. So literally get into this plane, and I kid you not, like the door's where my arm is, and like I'm strapped to the skydiver who's done thousands of jumps at this stage, and literally in front of me is the controls for the plane, like the well, I don't know, I'm not a pilot. The accelerator and brake, it looked like, and the pilot's sitting over on the left hand side, and the door's here, and all of a sudden he just shouts door, and he pulls the string, and the door just goes and flips open. I'm like, oh, I'm not doing this. And I just like, right, I closed my eyes. We skydived. It was such an adrenaline rush, an amazing adrenaline rush. It wasn't until a couple of months later, I'm reading the Irish Times, which is our national newspaper here in Ireland, and plane has crash landed during a skydive. I was like, whoa, okay. Down in the main National Parachute Centre in Ireland, and all these pilots are ex-military pilots, so like they knew like how to flip a plane if they had to flip a plane. But it took about a year of health and safety investigations. And what do you think the cause was for the plane problems?
I have no idea.
Lack of fluid and aviation fluid in the plane. So whether it was the same pilot smoking a cigarette on the side of his wing, looking at his watch, going, yeah, I'd say that's enough fluid in the plane to get me up there and get down again. But literally, you know, whether that pilot lost his job afterwards, I still don't know. But you know, I was thinking, God, I was blessed that wasn't us that day, because
wow. Well, so you had jumped out the plane already. You were doing your own thing.
Yeah. That was a month or two previous to this, the story that came in the paper saying that like the plane crash landed, and when the health and safety authorities did their investigation, they found there was not enough petrol or aviation fluid in the plane afterwards, and it just dawned on me. Yeah, I remember that moment, that pilot sitting on the side of the wing of the plane, smoking a cigarette, going, "That should be enough aviation fluid." I'll never forget that moment. And to that moment, I'm going, "Yeah, I really diced with death."
Wow, I know. Luckily, you jumped out of that plane when you had a chance.
I suppose it's probably the best place to be. If the plane does run out of fuel, at least you have a parachute.
Yeah.
And you have someone that's going to open the parachute for you. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so like the plane crash landed in a couple of fields. Actually, the plane crash landed right outside the village safely. No one was hurt, thank God. And like the parachutists like missed their landing spot by a couple of fields. Like they did navigate around in the air, but yeah, I'd say a scary experience for anyone that was doing their first tandem skydive. Going, you want us out early, and you're gonna crash land this plane? Okay.
I think that might have been like, if that had been me, that would be like the first and only time I'd go skydiving if that happened.
Yeah. Like a couple of times I've gone, yeah, I'll do it again. Like I think, you know what? I think they've changed planes. They're much bigger planes now. They maybe take 10 or so passengers up on tandem skydives. But I never forget that moment of that rackety thing. It's like the old-fashioned school buses that you sometimes see around the States. You're going, how is this thing still on wheels? You know, like this plane, like just taking off into the sky, going, this really doesn't seem safe. But I'm strapped to a guy with a parachute, and like, you know what? Your adrenaline just kicks in the moment you're on that plane. Like I'm surprised, Joe, that you once the plane's in the air, you just had the decision to not do it.
Yeah, no, I didn't even get on the plane. That's the thing.
You didn't even get on the
plane. We came, you know, with my whole family. It was just my dad jumping. He was trying to get me and my brothers to go. I was the only one who was seriously thinking about it. But then when I kind of told him I didn't want to do it anymore prior to going there. So we get there, and he was still convincing me when we're in line paying for the ticket. So I still had my second chance. They said, hey, there is still room, because you have to kind of in a week's advance give them a notice so they can prep everything. But they said, hey, I guess someone backed out. They have room on that plane. And I still couldn't do it. So I didn't join them. But yeah, like you mentioned, it was a little bigger plane. So he got on the plane with maybe 6 or 8 other people that were all doing the jump as well. And they went to different, I guess, heights. So I forgot what height that he did, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. You could see the plane go up, you see him jump, and it's just, it must have been exhilarating. Well, when he got down, it kind of discouraged me, because when he got down, he started walking towards us, but he had the guy he jumped with, the instructor, kind of holding him up. He got to us, he was sweating profusely, and he said he got dizzy, I guess, because when you go up, yeah, I mean, the thing with me, I always thought, I hate that feeling when you're on a roller coaster and it drops, right? And you get that feeling in your stomach. But they told me that when you're skydiving, you do not feel that at all. The reason is because the plane, because on a roller coaster, you're going from 0 miles an hour to 100 in seconds. Mm-hmm. When you're up in the plane, you're already moving hundreds of miles an hour, like so fast. Yeah. So when you jump out the plane, your body's essentially going the same speed, and you don't feel that gut feeling.
It actually feels like you're just floating in air, and
really
bubble. And then all of a sudden, like as soon as the parachute opens, that's when you get the sudden jerk back up in the air. But the only state of nausea that I had that day was he was turning the parachute from left to right, which from the ground it looks like they're doing flips. But I was like, can you stop doing that? You know, like my stomach was like, you know, like that was I think everything was fine floating in air until the parachute opens. Like, okay, now we're relying on this parachute to land us safely. You know, then it sort of dawns on you, what am I doing up here? You know. But hey,
why did I agree to this?
Well, yeah, maybe we should do one together, Joel. You know, we could always either do it in Ireland, or we could do it out in Vegas for Infocom or something.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Make it a publicity event.
I might take you up on that. Yeah, we need to have maybe a few drinks before going up on the plane.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Amsterdam, Joel, it looks like you got something going on a little bit behind you there. So
Yeah. So Justin, I know Justin, you will be going to IBC. So hopefully we can link up there. Yes, booth 12C53 will be our booth. You could use this guest pass code for free entry, y'all. So can you see? Am I blocking it?
yeah, there you go. You're
maybe
left.
this one right here. There you go. We'll have everything in the description links as well. But yeah, it should be. We're prepping everything right now. It's been a little hectic, but this will be our second time. Last year's IBC was our first. So we have a little better picture of what to expect. But yeah, everybody's just excited. It was great to visit, great people, great food. The city, it's really, they're very hospitable there.
And you're slowly finding your way around the Rye in Amsterdam. Yeah.
Oh,
Like the Rye, it's all that I can describe the Rye is like a big Tetris block. When you try and find. But hold on, I'm down on the ground floor, and this is floor 12, and I need to be in floor 1. Why is that not side by side? Oh, I have to go up 3 or 4 flights and then round the corner and back down again. Oh, that's strange. Yeah, I could never figure out the map all the time I was at ISC in Amsterdam.
Well, I know like ISC. So ISC used to be at the Rye Amsterdam as well every year, but I think 2-3 years now, they moved it to Barcelona, the FIRA convention center over there. The main reason was because I guess ISC kind of just outgrew the venue. I heard it was it was crazy, just packed, and they had to put people outdoors for a bit. And so now, yeah, they just kind of moved it to Barcelona, to a bigger venue. But I mean, Rye, when I went there, I mean, to me, that was my first time there. It seemed like a huge, huge place. So very historic. So I mean, yeah, everyone's excited.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Joel, so just to recap, 15th through the 18th of September, excuse me, I can't speak right now. 15th through the 18th of September, we'll be in Amsterdam. We'd love to see you guys there. Like Joel said, booth number is there. Guest code is IBC10711. So please go ahead and, if you can make it out there. I'm not saying you have to buy a plane ticket and fly out there, but if you can, we'd love to see you. Maybe I'll do the same and go ahead and just go out there and enjoy Amsterdam and the
booth there. Just say, "Oh, fancy seeing you here, man." But and just a little foreshadowing. Our next live stream episode in 2 weeks will be our IBC pre-show episode. So make sure you guys tune in there. We'll have some teasers and whatnot. But Justin, before we let you go, is there how can our audience find out more about you, your website, your YouTube channels or social
shameless
platforms?
plug time.
Shameless plug time. If you go to Justin or for Robert, so JustinOrDawson.com, you can find me there. For the podcast, it's All Things Techie. So I played on the domain name a long time ago, going allthingstech.ie for the Irish domain name. So All Things Techie. You can find me there, and at Justin or Dawson on the socials.
Awesome.
That's why I noticed on all the techie or techie podcast, the I and the E are capitalized when you stylize it on your.
Just playing on words.
And for our audience, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate some of the questions that you guys had for Justin, and we will see you guys in the next episode coming up in 2 weeks. But until then, have a great weekend, and we will see you guys next time.